Okay, pre-algebra, here are a couple examples of how we're doing these today. And remember, I taught you guys a different method for simplifying these and solving these equations with decimals. This makes it a little bit easier to do, so hopefully you guys got the hang of it today. The first thing you do is you look at all of your terms across your equation and you see which one has the greatest number of decimal places. The negative 3.2x, there's just one number in the decimal place. On the 0.08 there are 2, and on the 0.88 there are also 2. So the most we have on any of these is 2 decimal places. So what you can do is you're going to take the decimal and move it over 2 places on every single term, and what that does is it eliminates all your decimals and you're left with whole numbers. But you have to do it the same number of places on each term, not just the number, like on the negative 3.2, if you just moved it over once and then moved this one over twice, that would be incorrect. It has to be done the exact same number of times, okay? So we're going to move it over twice because both of these had 2 decimal places. And so if I move that over twice, I'm left with negative 320 because I'd fill in that empty place with the 0 and write x. If I move this over twice, I'm left with just 8 because the decimal would now be there. And if I move this over twice, I'm left with negative 88. Okay? So I hope that makes some sense. And now you have an equation that's a lot easier to solve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 8. To get rid of that, and I'm going to write minus 8 underneath here, and I have negative 320 over here equals, and then since the signs are the same here, we're going to add them together and keep the same sign, and 88 plus 8 is negative 96. Whoops, I forgot to bring my x down. There we go. Ooh, and I didn't draw the line. Catherine and Amanda would be mad at me. So I do that. So now what I need to do is I need to divide by negative 320. So do that and divide negative 96 by negative 320. And in order to do that, I'm going to, it's obviously going to be positive because you've got 2 negatives. This one works out. It's just going to have a decimal, but an easy decimal. So do like that. And I know that 32 goes into 96 3 times, so 320 would go into 960 3 times. So that's 0, that's 6, that's 9. So my answer is x equals 0.3, or just 0.3, and it was positive because they were both negative, and that's the answer. So again, you're always going to be looking to see how many numbers are after a decimal. On those ones where it's division, it's just a little bit trickier because we have to remember to deal with the x, and an x by itself means that we have one x. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 in front of it because we'll need to move the decimal on that 1 as well. So I look at all my terms. There's no decimal in the 1, there's no decimal in the 3, the 4.1 has 1 decimal, and the 1.24 has 2 decimals. So I need to move everything over twice to make sure that I can get rid of that decimal there. So in the number 1 on top, the decimal is right there, so moving it over twice would give us 100x. So it looked like that. Moving this one over twice would give us 410. So you see we do it on every single one. The 3 is a whole number, so I put the decimal at the end and then move it over twice, and I'd be left with minus 300. And then this would go over twice, and I'd have 124. So now I'm just going to continue solving. I'll add 300 here, and I get 424. And so I'll bring down my 100x over 410 equals 424. There's my line. Okay, so now what I want to do is to get rid of that 100 over 410, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to write 410 over 100. Cancels out the 410, cancels out the 100, leaves us with x. I'll put the 424 over 1 and write 410 over 100. This is not a very nice number, but we'll just simplify it as much as we can and leave it as a fraction. So I know that 4 goes into both of these because I can see that. This would be 25. And that would be 106, which means that 106 and 25 don't have anything in common. But if you look at 25 and 410, they have a 5 in common at least. So I can divide that by 5 and get that. 410 divided by 5 is 82. So write that up there. And I'd have, hopefully you won't have any of this mean, 106 times 82. Write that out, I get 802, and then carry a 0, 48, that's a 4 there, 8, 8, 8, 8. This is not a nice problem. So I'd be left with 8,688 over 5. Well, if I really wanted to write that as a decimal, I would do this, and I would, if I just added 1 0, it would be a decimal. I'll take it as a fraction like that, but it should be completely reduced. But if I did this, it'd be like that, and we get 3 there, another 7, and for my last one, a 6. So the answer here, put a 6 right there, would be 1,737.6, or the 8,688 over 5. I don't think any of yours are going to be quite that bad. I gave you kind of a long one. But again, just the whole point here is, remember, whenever you move the decimal over, you have to move it over the same number of places. So because this one had 2, we moved it over 2 everywhere, including with the x. So the 1 became 100, and the 4.1 became 410 by moving it over, and the 3 became 300, the 1.24 became 124. So that's how you do it. If you have questions, again, you can always email me, use the contactor form on the blog, and I'd be happy to answer your question. You just got to let me know that you need help. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.